Donald Trump is back at it, using his favorite tool to make your lives even better. This time, he's already slapped Brazil with a 50% tariff, hit Canada with a 35% one, and warned that more global tariffs are coming for other trade partners. Now, as you probably know, Trump's tariffs don't exactly work the way he tries to sell them, and moves like this usually mean higher prices for regular Americans, especially when it comes to the tariff on Canada. So today, we're going to break it all down and figure out what's really going on, and here's the plan. I'm going to ask AI to analyze Trump's latest moves and explain why he's actually doing this, break down that 35% tariff on Canada, tell us what it all really means, and predict whether he'll lift it, raise it, or just keep it where it is. But before we begin, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video if you think it's worth watching so that more people can actually see it. Alright, thanks a lot, and now let's get into it. In a world of alternative facts and media chaos, it's harder to stay informed without all the spin. Luckily, there's finally a tool that helps cut through the noise, and that's Ground News, today's sponsor. Ground News isn't your average news platform. It actually shows how all sides of the media are covering the same story. Take today's topic, the tariffs on Canada. Over 300 outlets are reporting on it, but the coverage looks very different. Left-leaning sources say it's deepening a rift between the two countries. Right-leaning ones are focusing on fentanyl trafficking as the reason. But with Ground News, you can see all sides, the bias, the sources, and how trustworthy they are. In this case, 89% of the sources are rated highly factual. You can also follow specific topics like AI, Trump, Canada, or anything else, and Ground News will keep you in the loop every single day. So here's the deal. Go to groundnews.com/AI or scan the QR code to get 40% off the Unlimited Vantage plan. That brings it down to just $5 a month. The link's in the description and pinned comment, and the discount only works through that link. Again, that's groundnews.com/AI. Go try it now, and I promise you won't want to go back. Huge thanks to Ground News for sponsoring this video, and now let's get straight into the chat. And here we are. First, I needed to gather up all the latest information on the tariff against Canada, and once that's done, we'll get started. Alright, so ChatGPT needs to be clear, straightforward, absolutely unbiased, no left or right spin, no fluff, no sugarcoating, none of that. So then, my first question is simple. Why? I mean, what's the point? What's the reason? What's the real goal behind Trump's tariff on Canadian goods? And how exactly is any of this supposed to make life better for regular Americans? And here's the answer. Trump's 35% tariff on Canadian imports is a political move first, an economic one second. The official reasoning he gave is that Canada has been taking advantage of the US through unfair trade, especially in areas like dairy, lumber, and even pharmaceuticals. He also mentioned fentanyl, which feels like a stretch, considering most fentanyl still comes through Mexico or directly from China, but throwing that in makes it sound tougher. He's also threatening other countries with 15 to 20% tariffs. So, what's the real deal here? This is campaign politics. He wants to look strong and decisive, tough on borders, tough on trade, tough on foreign countries. The tariff is meant to send a message to his base. I'm the only one standing up for you. Everyone else is selling you out. It plays directly into the America First playbook. It worked for him before. In 2016, and even partly in 2020, tariffs were a cornerstone of his economic message. He's betting that it'll work again in 2025. Now, does that mean it's going to help regular Americans? That's where things fall apart. A 35% tariff on Canadian imports is going to raise prices. Not immediately, but pretty fast. Canada is one of America's top trading partners. We import aluminum, lumber, machinery, energy, even groceries like maple syrup, bakery products, and meats. If those things suddenly cost 35% more to bring in, guess who pays for that? Not Canada. It's the U.S. consumer and U.S. businesses who rely on Canadian supplies. That's how tariffs work. They're basically a tax that companies pass down to customers. It's that simple. Let's break down his logic. Trump thinks that by slapping a 35% tariff on Canadian goods, it will pressure Canada to lower its own trade barriers or open up sectors where the U.S. is blocked, like dairy. He also thinks it'll bring production and jobs back to the U.S. That's the talking point, that the U.S. will start making things again, that we'll be less reliant on imports, and that it'll be a net win. But the reality is, supply chains don't move that fast. Manufacturing doesn't just come back because of a single tariff. If you make imports from Canada expensive, a U.S. company isn't suddenly going to build a factory in Michigan. They might just buy from Mexico instead, or China, or Vietnam. They'll do whatever's cheapest. Global companies don't think in red, white, and blue, they think in profit margins. And on the consumer side, a 35% price hike on basic goods is a gut punch to working people, especially with inflation still sticking around in some areas. You're already paying more for food and fuel, now your contractor's lumber costs more, your car parts cost more, and your grocery bill creeps up. That's not theoretical, that's real. Now let's talk about the fentanyl claim. Trump said one reason for the tariff is that Canada isn't cooperating enough to stop fentanyl from entering the U.S. That's a dramatic claim, but there's no solid evidence backing it. If anything, Canada works pretty closely with U.S. law enforcement. It's not the main trafficking route. That part feels like political theater. Like he's trying to tie every problem Americans hate to foreign countries, even when the connection is weak. It's the same tactic he used with China in the past. Blame them for COVID, for the economy, for the drug crisis, for everything. It's simple, it works politically, but it's not grounded in strategy. So, what's the real goal? Two things: keep working-class Americans on his side, especially in key states, and pressure other countries into giving the U.S. better trade terms. That's the game. But it's a gamble, because if Canada retaliates, which they probably will, U.S. exporters are going to get hurt. That means American farmers, American manufacturers. That means fewer sales abroad, job losses, factory slowdowns. We've seen this before. During Trump's first term, his China tariffs triggered a full-blown trade war. Soybean farmers got crushed. The federal government had to step in and bail them out with billions. It was a mess, and even though he claimed victory, the trade deficit didn't shrink. If anything, it got worse. Now, about the USMCA. Trump hinted that certain goods covered under the trade agreement could be exempt. That sounds like a safety valve, but it also makes this whole thing even more confusing. If you're threatening Canada with a 35% tariff, but exempting all the stuff in the trade agreement, what's actually getting taxed? Is this just for headlines, or is it targeted at a specific sector? He didn't say. That uncertainty makes it even harder for businesses to plan, which messes with markets and increases volatility. And that's already showing. Markets dipped the day the announcement came out. So, will this make Americans' lives better? Probably not. Maybe a handful of companies in a few sectors will benefit if Canadian competition disappears. But for most people, it means higher prices, more uncertainty, and a higher chance of retaliation. And if it triggers a domino effect, say the EU slaps tariffs on US goods or China sees an opening, it could spark a mini trade war again. That's not good for anyone. Bottom line, Trump's move is about sending a message, not fixing a problem. It's designed to look strong and decisive, but the economics are shaky, the benefits are vague, the costs are clearer. If you're sitting in a swing state watching the price of groceries and construction materials creep up, you might start asking yourself what the point of all this is. And that's where the risk is for him politically. If voters feel the pain before they see any gain, this whole strategy could backfire. So no, this won't make American lives better in any obvious way. It might get Trump applause at a rally, it might win him a news cycle, but economically, it's a tax hike disguised as patriotism, and Americans are going to feel it whether they realize it or not. Oh, that was a long one, but it did actually explain everything pretty well. Okay, well, up next I'm going to ask it to predict what's coming, and since Trump's usually unpredictable, I'll ask it what his next move might be, whether he lowers the tariff, raises it, or just keeps it as it is, and how this whole thing might play out. But before we move on, go ahead and hit the like button if you're enjoying the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, I've never said this before, but a special thanks to everyone who's already become a member. I see you, and I know that you're here, and that really means a lot. Oh, and if you also want to support the channel directly, just hit the join button down below, because it helps me to make more videos, maybe even some longer ones, and improve the overall quality. Alright, thank you so much, and now let's get to the final part. So then, what does ChatGPT think is going to happen? Will Trump lower the tariff, raise it, or keep it as is? Let's see. Alright, here's how I see it, no fluff. Trump didn't pick 35% as a fixed calculated number. He picked it because it sounds big, loud, and tough. That number could go anywhere. Up, down, gone completely. It's a tool. He's not thinking like a traditional policymaker who builds long-term trade frameworks. He's thinking like a negotiator in a high-stakes poker game. Say something bold, watch how the other guy reacts, then raise or fold depending on the heat. If Canada pushes back hard, with tariffs of their own, Trump might go harder. He'll say, they're disrespecting us, and slap another 10 or 15% on top just to show he won't blink, especially if his supporters cheer it on. But if markets start crashing or prices go up and people notice, he might quietly scale it back or tweak it. He's done that before. Big threat, then partial walkback once it's served its purpose. The more likely scenario is that Canada responds calmly, maybe throws out a few symbolic concessions. Nothing major, just enough to let Trump claim a win. That gives him cover to lower the tariff or cancel it and say, look, I fixed the problem. That's how he operated with China before. It's not about solving anything long-term, it's about getting a headline and moving on. He might also let the tariff just sit there for months with no clear enforcement, no updates, no follow-up. It's happened before. He threatens something big, the dust settles, and it becomes background noise. It's useful as a talking point during rallies. Remember how I went after Canada? But no one checks if the thing ever actually happened. So I don't think this ends with a stable trade structure or some clean new deal. It'll be a cycle, pressure, outrage, maybe retaliation, then some spin and redirection. Whether it helps or hurts depends on timing. If prices go up and people start feeling it, it could blow up in his face. But if he plays it right and dials things down after claiming victory, it could actually help him politically. But economically, it's a mess either way. It just depends how loud the pain gets and who ends up yelling louder, the voters or the industries. And that's pretty much it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Did ChatGPT's take line up with your own opinion or not? And don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that join button if you want to support the channel directly. Oh, and by the way, I've got a follow-up video for you. In that one, I asked ChatGPT to actually restore US-Canada relations, and it gave a big and detailed 100% guaranteed plan on how to do it. So, if you missed that one, definitely go and check it out. Thanks for watching, click on that video, and I'll see you there in just a moment.